Hello, beautiful soul. If you are suffering from an addiction, let's talk about it, because I was at one point deeply suffering, and God showed me this method on how to heal, and I want to share it. So, something important to understand about addiction is that it is a process of self-soothing. It is a process of soothing some sort of pain that you are holding inside. And this is important to know because this pain, we don't want to add any shame to it. We want to start releasing all of the shame involved with addiction, because shame in itself is pain. Shame is one of the lowest energies that we can hold in ourselves, because it is the complete opposite of how God sees us. And so I wrote love letters every single day for just a few months, and everyone's case is going to be different. Everyone's experience, everyone's addiction, everyone's pain that they're experiencing, it's all going to be different. So it could take a little less time, a little more. But I wrote love letters every single day for like 2 or 3 months. I don't exactly remember. And I God healed my addiction. It was a I had to show up to write the love letters, and God showed up and worked through me with love. So grateful. So I'm here sharing it right now. So, addiction, it's rooted in pain. There is some sort of pain that you are seeking to cover up through whatever you're addicted to. I was addicted to shopping. Shopping is something that you literally need to do on this planet, like buying groceries, paying bills, buying clothes, like there are needs that you need to spend money on. So it was something I couldn't give up entirely, but I was addicted to it. So it was one of those where you can't like quit it cold turkey, but each time, even if you're spending at the grocery store, there's all of those feelings that addiction brings up still there, because you are using money, which isn't inherently a bad thing at all. It's the feelings that I had around it and the way that I was using it to cover and soothe pain. So you're using something to soothe your pain. And I'm explaining a little bit about how addiction works so that you can understand how love letters are going to work. That is what helped me out. You're using something to cope with your pain. Something triggers you, something upsets you, life is hard, you're feeling down, whatever it is. You start thinking about your addiction. You start thinking like, oh, it would just be so much better if I could buy this thing right now, or if only I could buy this thing, or if only I could use this drug or drink or whatever it is. You start thinking about it. You end up using it because it's the only thing that that makes you feel a little bit better, even for a split second. Instantly after you use it, the shame comes in. Instantly after, you then shift into the point of the addiction cycle where you're like, how could I do that? What's wrong with me? I said I wasn't gonna do that, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole lot of different thoughts involved, but they all generally follow a similar pattern. You use, then you shift into shame. This shame, this is where we heal. This is where we heal addiction, is through this part of the cycle. In this shame, this is where we open up back to love. We do not heal an addiction by cutting ourselves off, by punishing ourselves, by restricting ourselves. It never, ever, ever, ever works, because in punishing ourselves and restricting ourselves, we are shaming ourselves and hurting ourselves more and creating more pain in us that makes us want to use whatever it is that we want to use more. So it is in this point of the cycle where you've used your drug of choice and you are beating yourself up, where you need to start to bring love in. This is where you write a love letter. I would write them every single day. It was my devoted practice to my healing that I got called to do. And I would also write them just after doing something bad or using my addiction or shopping or whatever brought shame upon me. I would write a love letter, and that was the hardest point that I could write one. But it was so important that I did it in that moment. And it takes 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's really quick and easy. But what you are doing with the love letter is you are opening up to love instead of shame and pain. You are opening up to the love of God, the love of the universe. You are opening up to love. And it's so important to use it when you are in that point of the cycle where you're shaming yourself and hating yourself and blaming yourself. This is where you need to love yourself the most, is when you feel like you deserve it the least. So anyways, how do you write a love letter? I would write it on my phone because I could just whip it out anytime. You could get a journal, up to you. Do whatever will allow you to be consistent with it. You write a letter to God, to universe, source, whatever you call your higher power, doesn't matter. If you don't fully believe in a higher power, just be open to it. Just pick a word that resonates. Nature, love, infinite possibilities, whatever. Pick something that resonates with you. Be open to the help of this higher force. That is all you need. That is all you need. And write out a letter to God, whatever it is. Write out your letter. Be completely honest. Let yourself spill it out. Sometimes it would be paragraphs that I would write. Sometimes it would be 3 sentences. Whatever I felt called each day. Write out your truth. God, this is so hard. I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. I don't know why I can't get out of this addiction. Be completely honest. There is nothing you need to hold back. You can let your anger, sadness, fear, worry, let it all out. Speak your honest truth. Let it out onto the page and ask God for help. And then sometimes immediately after, sometimes 5-10 minutes later, it would just depend. This is gonna sound kind of weird, and it's gonna feel weird at first and uncomfortable at first, and that's okay. This is the uncomfortable part, but this is what heals. After you've written your letter to God, a few minutes later, get present and write a letter to yourself from God. Write a letter to yourself. If that doesn't feel right to you, to pretend that you're God, imagine that love itself, unconditional love, is speaking to you. Imagine that unconditional love is writing a letter back. Love itself is writing a letter to you right now, and it has nothing mean or negative or nasty or shameful to say whatsoever. Love itself is writing to you. This can be really, really, really difficult when you are not used to speaking to yourself with love. So let it be weird. Let yourself be like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. Just imagine if love was speaking to me right now, what would they be saying back to all of my worries, all of my fears, all of the shame I'm feeling? What would they say? And once again, this love letter from love back to me, it varied in length. Some days it was paragraphs, some days it was a few sentences, but it was always purely positive and loving towards me. And this love letter works because you are opening your heart and your mind and your spirit to love towards yourself. And that love, that is in alignment with the love of God. And that, if you are opening up to love, that has the power to heal and transform. That is what has the power to heal and transform. No amount of restriction, no amount of shame, no amount of suppression, none of that truly heals, because at the core of the wound and the pain that you are trying to soothe yourself, there is some sort of disconnect from love there. And you have to start bringing it back in to yourself. You have to start seeing yourself through that lens. You have to start speaking to yourself with love and kindness, and this is what will start to loosen the grip of addiction. When you can start to speak to yourself in that way. And so I don't know if it was actually God writing to me. I don't know. I know God led me on this path of the love letters. I know that I was guided, but I don't know if all the words that I wrote were actually God's, and that's okay. It's not that you need to perfectly understand and capture God. It's about beginning to let love flow through you, beginning to speak to yourself in a loving way, beginning to open yourself to this new perspective of yourself that is loving and caring and supported and gentle. That is the power of love. And after a few months of this, I began to completely transform the cycle I was in and the relationship that I had with shopping and the relationship I had with myself. If you are not loving towards yourself, how can you possibly believe that God is loving towards you? If you are not even loving towards yourself, how can you possibly believe in a loving God? You just can't. You are blocked off from it. You're blocked off from that true ability to experience that because you are not even able to give it to yourself. So this isn't something that you need to do alone. Again, all of the love letters, ask for God's help, ask for guidance, ask for clarity, ask for support. And when you're writing that letter from love back to yourself, just be open to whatever loving, beautiful thing wants to come through. As weird as it may feel, as uncomfortable as it may feel, starting to speak to yourself in that way, it is so powerfully healing and it is so worth it. You deserve to live a life where you are not chained by addiction. You deserve to live a life where you can witness the pain without shaming yourself. And that is actually what allows it to transmute. So is there anything else on the love letters? Try it. Just try it. That's all you have to do. Just try it. Just do it consistently every day. And if you are in a deep, dark place of shame, write a love letter to God and then write one back. And just stay consistent. You have been in this pattern of speaking to yourself in this skewed way for a very long time. And it can take time to learn to relate to yourself and life and love and God in a new way. It can take time to shift out of where you've been. So just stay consistent. It only takes a few minutes a day. and especially show up and write love letters in those darkest times when you are wanting to the least, when you are wanting to avoid yourself the most, and when those voices in your head are telling you all these bad things about you. That is when you need to reach for love. And this is a way that I found that really helped me. So I'm sending you love. Healing is possible. It is for you. And yeah, may this find whoever it needs to find.